Welcome to this lesson on statistics. By the end of this video, you will be able to estimate the mean for grouped data. This is a crucial skill for your IGCSE exams, often appearing in the calculator paper. When we have large amounts of data, it is often grouped into intervals. Because we don't know the exact values within those intervals, we have to estimate the mean by using the midpoint of each group. The midpoint is the value halfway between the start and the end of the interval. To understand why we need to estimate, let's look at how data is presented in a grouped frequency table. In this example, we know that 5 people took between 0 and 10 minutes. However, we do not know if they took 1 minute, 9 minutes, or a mix of values. Since we lack the raw data, the best assumption we can make is that these 5 values are spread out around the middle of the group. This is why it is called an estimate. We aren't finding the exact mean, but a very good approximation based on the center of each class interval. To calculate this estimate, we follow a 4-step process. Step 1. Find the midpoint, x, of each interval. Step 2. Multiply each midpoint by its frequency, f, to get f times x. Step 3. Sum the f times x column and sum the frequency column. Step 4. Divide the total f times x by the total frequency. This gives us the formula. Estimated mean equals the sum of f times x divided by the sum of f. Let's look at step 1 more closely. To find the midpoint of an interval, you add the lower bound and the upper bound together and divide by 2. For example, for the interval 10 to 20, we calculate 10 plus 20 divided by 2, which equals 15. So, 15 is our midpoint. We will repeat this for every row in our table. Let's apply these steps to a typical IGCSE past paper question. Here we have a table showing the heights of 80 plants. Our first task is to add a new column for the midpoint, which we'll call x. For the first row, 0 plus 20 divided by 2 gives us 10. For the second, 20 plus 40 divided by 2 is 30. Following this pattern, the next midpoints are 50 and 70. Now, we add a final column to calculate frequency times midpoint, or f times x. This represents the total height for each group. 12 times 10 is 120. 25 times 30 is 750. 30 times 50 is 1,500. And 13 times 70 is 910. Now that we have our products, we need the totals to find the mean. First, let's sum the frequency column to find the total number of plants. The total frequency is 80. Next, we sum the f times x column to get the total approximate height of all 80 plants combined. The total f times x is 3,280. Now for the final step, divide the total height by the number of plants. We calculate 3,280 divided by 80. This gives us exactly 41. So, our estimated mean height is 41 centimeters. A quick tip for your exam. Always check if your answer sits within the range of your data. Since our plants were between 0 and 80 centimeters, a mean of 41 is a very sensible result. If you got 400 or 4, you would know immediately that a calculation error occurred. Let's try one more example that is slightly more complex, where the interval widths are not all the same. This is common in IGCSE papers to test if you are paying attention to the midpoints. Notice the last interval is wider than the others. Let's find the midpoints carefully. First midpoint, 0 plus 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. Next, 5 plus 15 divided by 2 is 10. Then, 15 plus 25 divided by 2 is 20. And the last one, 25 plus 45 divided by 2, is 35. Now we calculate frequency times midpoint for each row. 10 times 2.5 is 25. 20 times 10 is 200. 15 times 20 is 300, and 5 times 35 is 175. Next, sum the frequencies. 10 plus 20 plus 15 plus 5 equals 50. Then sum the products. 25 plus 200 plus 300 plus 175 equals 700. Finally, divide. 700 divided by 50 gives us 14. The estimated mean mass is 14 kilograms. To wrap up, let's recap our learning objective. You are now able to estimate the mean for grouped data by using midpoints. First, find midpoints represented by x for each group. Then, calculate frequency times midpoint, which is f times x. Next, find the total frequency and the total f times x by the total frequency. Remember, We call this an estimate because we do not know the exact values within the intervals, so we assume they are represented by the midpoint. A common mistake in exams is dividing by the number of rows in the table, for example, dividing by 4 instead of the total frequency of 50. Always divide by the total frequency. Before your next practice paper, ask yourself, do I know how to find the midpoint if the interval is written as 10 to 19 instead of 10 to 20? In that case, the midpoint would be 14.5. Good luck with your revision, and keep practicing these table calculations to ensure you pick up full marks on these questions.